Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we do full-length car reviews every week. Halfway through, we put on the brakes and do a segment called Questions, Coffee, and Cars. We spun it off into its own segment.
Yeah.
We're on episode 27, and how do you play along?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. I put a post out every Sunday asking for questions. It only stays up for a short time. Once we have our questions, the post is deleted.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
GV80 versus MDX. Love the content. Thank you. What do you think? What would you pick?
I don't think they could be more different.
Well, I just want to add something before you say. The GV80, remember this? The 3.5T is the only trim that you can get that third row.
Well, I was just going to say,
Yeah.
MDX is bigger. So if you need more space, MDX is the one. It comes standard with a three-row. Do you know it's the best-selling three-row mid-size luxury SUV? Because it was the first way back in the day. So the three-row comes standard. It's bigger. It's probably a lot cheaper. So
the GV80 3.5T with that third row. I'm just going to use Canadian numbers, so I'm not throwing all of these numbers at you. $92,500. Now that includes freight and fees and things like that. But boy, I haven't looked up that price in a while, and I was kind of shocked.
Well, a little history lesson. Can I just jump in
sure.
on the price? When they first introduced it, I went to the launch, and we had the director of Genesis in Canada, and it started at 80 grand. And I said, I don't know what you're smoking, but that's too much. And I even said to him, why would somebody buy that when they could just get an MDX? And back then, I think the MDX was like 58 grand or something like that.
Yeah.
That's before they came out with a new one. And then sure enough, they dropped the price by 2 grand.
Yeah. So
and now they've jacked it back up.
Back it up. So the top trim MDX, not Type S. Now keep in mind that 3.5T has got some great power. And even the Type S doesn't get up there, but still enough, right, for everyday driving. So you're looking at $77,000 top trim of the MDX, which is good. That's quite a savings for a three-row family hauler. Now, if you want the Type S, you're up at $88,000.
Okay, do yourself a favor. If you're considering, a spendy GV80, try the Type S. If it was me, that's the one I would pick. The base model, by the way, we're getting it next week.
I know.
The MDX, we're getting it back. It came out in 2020 or 2021. We haven't driven it in like 3 years.
No.
So we're getting it back. I look forward to see if we like it as much. But the Type S I thought was great.
And it really just drives like a large sedan, so easy to get in and out of with the MDX. Hey, don't get me wrong, the GV80 is a beautiful vehicle, beautiful interior. Genesis knows
Except
how
for
to do. The crazy steering wheel.
Now, we haven't driven it in a while. So
Yeah,
they might have
changed
They might have
it.
changed the ugly steering wheel.
I just think if you need the space, you need a true family hauler. You're going to use that three-row a lot. The MDX is better. But the MDX, and when we review it, I'm sure I'm going to feel the same way about the trackpad.
And the shifter.
Oh, my goodness.
They got to ditch that. Type S, try the Type S.
Forester or Forester Wilderness? There's a guy at the end of our street. He's got a blue Forester Wilderness. And man, he looks like he's having some good fun with it.
He's got bike rack on the back. He's the ad for the outdoor kayaking, all that kind of stuff.
He is a busy guy.
So if you do not need the wildernessy stuff, pass on that.
No, I mean,
it's kind of fugly.
It's kind of fugly. You've got all the, now look, looks are subjective.
Yeah.
If you own a Wilderness and you love it, wonderful.
No, not the the wilderness, yes.
Yes.
Like too much cladding.
A lot of cladding.
You know that famous skit where they go more cowbell on Saturday Night Live? They said more cladding.
Yeah. So it is more capable for off-roading. So if that's what you're using it for, you might like it. It's got different tires. It's got the Yokohama Geolandar tires, which you might want. I just like the Forester for what it is. I probably wouldn't get the Wilderness, but if you're loving it, get it. It's over $42,000 Canadian.
Wow.
It's getting up there in price, hey?
You know what? Just get the Forester.
Hey guys, love your channel. Thank you so much. With the popularity of Questions, Coffee, and Cars, have you thought about posting 2 episodes a week? I think we'd all love it. Geez, we certainly have the questions for it.
Well, we have a lot of questions, but there's only so much work we can do. Like the thing
Yeah.
is now, oh, by the way, it just came back this past Sunday, Andrea.
Yeah.
The live show's back every Sunday. I do it on my own at 4 o'clock Pacific. That's 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
And you can tune in and ask questions. You can do a super chat. That helps out the channel.
Zach
And-
loves the super chat.
And that's another way to communicate. And that's an hour long. But yeah, there's only so much work we can do. We have 2 full-length car reviews we've got to do. And then questions, coffee, and cars. And we got to work in some travel there, too, for the car. Like this week, we're going to Quebec to drive the Kona.
Yeah, maybe in December or something. We'll throw in
That's a
some
great
extras.
idea.
What do you think? Just because it's like,
It's
the
our gift to
holiday
you.
season, and then you'll be so sick of us. You'll
Yeah.
be like, God, why are they doing all these questions, coffee, and cars?
All right, so let's do that for the holiday season.
Yeah, we'll do. How about we do extras? We'll
Okay,
compromise.
so here's what you do. If you're with the Outlaws and you're like, I am so done with their stupid conversation, you can
Yeah.
just put the headphones or the earbuds in, open the laptop or iPad, start watching, go, what? Sorry, Drea and Zork are on.
Maybe just put one in so you're not rude.
No, I would tune them all out.
Oh boy, they wouldn't like you for that. I'm thinking about a smaller SUV and I'm considering the Ford Bronco Sport. What do you know about the reliability and what would you recommend as an alternative? By the way, love your channel. Thank you.
Well, every time we get a Bronco Sport, and we had one in the baby blue recently.
Yeah, that heritage model.
Yeah, they look really good. And we walk away and we're impressed with it. Now, the good thing is we've driven 2 of them. The first time we had the Eco Boost with the powerful 250 horsepower.
That's right.
Which is kind of overkill for that car. And then we had the 3-cylinder turbo,
Yeah.
and we were pleasantly surprised.
We really were.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the look of it. It's kind of rugged looking. The higher trims has got a nice interior. But what you're asking about is reliability. JD Power gives it a great reliability score.
Really?
First off, overall score is 85 out of 100.
Wow.
Reliability, 87 out of 100. But you know what's super impressive is that people have scored it so high, a 90 out of 100 for driving pleasure.
Yeah, and that's the thing we really like. It comes with an available, the high-speed suspension.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what trim it was on, but that's the Outer Banks or Badlands or one of
I think
those
it was
ones.
Badlands.
Yeah, and it's got a high-speed off-road suspension. Mwah! That makes all the difference. It eats up, and if you don't need it for high-speed off-roading, man, if you live in a potholed area,
Yeah.
it would be fantastic for that.
So good. What's your opinion on...
He asked what else you could buy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the Forester we just talked about might be an option.
Well, there's so many in that category. That's the compact class. And you can get so much. What's your opinion on the new BMW X1 M35i? I want to enter the luxury market, and I want this sportier kind. The X1 looks practical with the new M-powered engine. Looks like it will add to the sportiness too without being much of a damage on the wallet. What's your take? Or would you recommend any other competitor?
Well, we like just the regular X1, so with the more powerful engine, that'll be great.
I like the X1 in that subcompact luxury class. That is my favorite. I also like the Mini Countryman as well. Look, there were some good ones. The Q3 offers a ton of value, but the thing I don't like about the Q3 is just that lighter steering, which is a real Audi trait.
Yeah.
If you like that, you'll enjoy the Q3. Q3 has a little bit more hard plastic in it. And then, of course, there's the GLA and the GLB. Believe it or not, GLB is a subcompact.
The GLB 35, the AMG 35 that we drove, that would be a contender for that. And that
Yeah.
thing was like, the way we described it, it was like a John Cooper Works Countryman, but bigger. That
yeah.
thing handles amazingly.
Hey guys, love your channel. Thank you so much. I'm currently on the wait list for the Grand Highlander Hybrid XLE in Calgary, Alberta. It looks like it will be another year wait. Oh, sorry to hear that. But the gas model would be available quicker. Would you guys suggest grabbing the gas model or waiting for the hybrid? What would sway your decision one way or another?
So this person also reached out to me on Instagram, and I said, the good thing about the gas base model is it's cheaper.
Yeah.
And I said, it depends how motivated you are about fuel economy. If that's your number one consideration is fuel economy, then wait for the hybrid. If not, the gas, I even think the gas Grand Highlander is going to be hard to get.
I think so. I think the Grand Highlander is going to be tough to get. How about maybe working with the dealership, ordering the hybrid, and the gas model. And then when you get the gas model, take it. Who knows, say it does take a long time to get it. I'm sure the dealership would be happy to take the gas model off your hands because they can just sell it again. But then maybe when you drive it off the lot, resale value. I don't know. The used car market is so high. I just think the Grand Highlander is going to be one that people are going to want.
And you can't even get a Highlander hybrid. People are waiting for those. So I don't know what to suggest. I think that that's the whole video that we did, and the last time we did that, we've done 2 Grand Highlander videos. I like the base model because the engine, the transmission, it works really well together, and it's cheaper, right? So
it is cheaper, but boy, that hybrid,
it's got great fuel economy.
Great fuel economy. You know what? In hindsight, I'm going to say this: if you don't need a vehicle right now, why don't you just order the hybrid and wait it out? If you need a vehicle right now, then you're going to have to come up with an alternative. Hybrids are tough to get, period. Doesn't matter if it's a Grand Highlander or if it's a RAV4 hybrid or it's a Tucson hybrid. Everybody wants an electrified vehicle.
Well, it's interesting because, when battery electric vehicles started coming in, everybody was like, well, who would want a hybrid? Well, fuel prices went up, and then we have this cost of living crisis we're all dealing with, inflation, the groceries are outrageously expensive. So if you have to buy a car, people want to buy something that's more fuel efficient because fuel costs are a big part of your budget every month. So that's why you can't get a hybrid. So hybrids have kind of had the last laugh.
They really
have had the last laugh because you cannot get them in any brand.
Yeah. And, we asked Toyota about their inventory issues, and they basically said, they produce so many hybrids or even, some plug-in hybrids. And they were saying once gas prices went through the roof, they weren't prepared for the demand of these electrified vehicles. And then add the chip shortage and, missing parts when they're producing vehicles.
COVID shutdowns.
Yeah, I mean, they've just had such a hard time. And when you think about it, Toyota and then the Koreans, Hyundai and Kia, produce the most hybrids and plug-in hybrids, and they're all having a rough time with inventory. My mom got a call from her dealership. She's got a plug-in Tucson. They wanted to buy it from her. It's 18 months old.
It'll be 2 years old in January.
Yeah.
And they wanted to give her almost 10 grand more than she paid for it.
And she said, well, what should I do? And I said, well, you're never going to get another plug-in hybrid anytime soon, so you're back to a gas model.
You want to take the bus?
Yeah.
Sell it.
And so she's like, no, I'm not giving up my plug-in hybrid.
That's what we'll get her for Christmas, bus pass.
She's not doing it. I said, Mom, you can't get one. Like, my mom bought that Tucson plug-in hybrid before it went crazy. She is just so lucky. Hi, I'm interested in a very safe and comfortable big SUV for European roads. Do you think it's worth paying the premium for a Q7 X5 GLE XC90, or should I get a Highlander Sorento Santa Fe? Thanks, love your channel. Thank you.
Well, one of the things is, get this often, people say, well, you should buy a Volvo because they're the safest vehicles. There are so many safe vehicles on the road now. All of the technology that one brand has, they all have, the cameras, the forward collision warning, the lane keep assist, the backup, the crash worthiness. You can look up, the European standards are different, but you can look up the European crash tests, and you can also look up the North American crash tests, and the vehicles will be similar. But I would say brands that do particularly well on those tests would be like Subaru. Volvo does do well, but a lot of brands do well.
And I think it's, you're asking also about comfort level. With these luxury vehicles, usually the cabin is quieter when you're driving. And then you've got a broad range here. I don't know if you need a third row or not. You've got the Q7 in. If you need a third row, the Q7 actually offers a ton of value. It is getting up there in age now, but I still think it's a terrific choice.
Okay, so one of the things is, and you mentioned you want a larger SUV for European roads, which is not common. Most people want smaller vehicles in Europe, but they are getting into bigger vehicles. You see the same trend there. Size is your friend if you're worried about crash worthiness. The bigger the vehicle, the better chance you have of well, what does that mean? You have this escalation and race to who can have the biggest vehicle, but a lot of them are very safe. I would say maybe there's some electronic assist features that one would have over the other. So,
Sure.
so research that.
Yeah, definitely. Greetings. General question, not expecting a specific answer, but with the significant increase in new car prices, with the corresponding interest rates, would you consider buying out your auto lease started in 2021? I love the X3 and the new lease for basically the same vehicle because they've only tweaked the X3 along the way since that time.
So what year does he
will be
have?
significantly higher for the lease payment.
Oh, yeah.
Go Patriots.
Oh, yeah.
Go Bills. 2021.
Okay, so you've got a 2021 X3. Great product. I would do exactly what he wants to do.
Same.
Buy it out. You know what?
would
If
too.
you have the cash to pay for it, that's a way better than leasing a new one with the rates much higher.
Yeah.
And you kind of got the last laugh. For the last 2 years, you've been paying probably less. Like you have positive equity just because of the interest rate.
Yeah, and they've done a refresh on the X3, but not huge things. A new one is coming at some point, but I would just stick with it. I'd keep the 2021 and I would buy it out.
One thing you want to check with the dealer is find out is when you buy the lease if you can have it certified pre-owned because you
yeah.
don't actually own the car right now.
No.
BMW Finance owns it. You're going to buy it from them as a used car. So it should be able to go through the shop and buy the extended warranty on that. Then you get the extra coverage and some peace of mind.
Yeah, which is a great idea with a used BMW. Buying a crossover vehicle, residing in Toronto, GTA, how important is it to consider all-wheel drive versus a front-wheel drive model? We're really big on, tires.
Tires.
Winter
All
tires make a world of difference. I'm going to use your brother as an example because he's had.
Well, he lives in Richmond Hill.
Yeah. And,
in the GTA.
And he has front wheel drive models and he has no issue with them. I mean, he's been driving it. I don't have an issue with front wheel drive. And I also have no issue with rear wheel drive on electric vehicles because you've got a heavier battery and the vehicle is heavier. It just feels more planted. Just winter tires.
Okay, I grew up in Toronto. And back in the day, there were no all-wheel drive passenger cars, really.
Yeah.
Maybe the very first 4Runner or some Jeeps, but everybody had either front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, and the tires weren't nearly as good as they are today. So invest in a good set of winter tires. There's, use a reputable brand. There's some cheap knockoff import tires from China that are, we want to steer clear of those. Brands do the research and the development into the tires. We're going to be doing something with Toyo tires in October.
Yeah.
We might be able to win some tires.
Yeah, we're going to be giving away
They're
some
all-weather tires, though.
yeah. And for our U.S. followers, viewers, we're going to give equal money.
Yeah, we're
for the tires.
basically going to buy the tires and send them to you if you're American.
Are any German luxury brands coming out with regular hybrids? I have a 2018 Audi A4 and I'll be looking to upgrade within a year or so. But I want a hybrid. I'd like to stay in the luxury category. BMW, Audi, Mercedes. I don't want to plug in because I live in a condo and can't easily charge.
No, they don't really do that, do they?
No, unfortunately not. No hybrids. So a lot of these brands are offering plug-in hybrids like BMW, for example, and Volvo, Audi, but no hybrids. And they're going to go straight to EVs after that.
Okay, so there is some marketing spin going on in the background. You will go on websites or you'll read reviews where it says it has the 48-volt mild hybrid system.
Yes.
That is not like a Toyota hybrid or a Hyundai or Kia hybrid. That's basically a small battery, like the size of a briefcase, really, that they hide somewhere in the car, and that's used for advanced auto start-stop. If you have a vehicle that turns off at an intersection, it can help with the turning it off more often, but it is not a hybrid. That's marketing spin.
I mean, probably getting better fuel economy than if it didn't have the 48-volt mild hybrid system.
Tiny.
But a lot of people do get confused. They contact me and they'll say, oh, I want to get this BMW X3 hybrid. And I said, well, they don't make a hybrid. Well, they do. They have a 48-volt mild hybrid. I said, it's not the same. So yeah, that's something to consider. So it's either plug-in hybrid for you with those luxury brands or straight to a pure EV.
If you want luxury, you're going to go to Lexus
Yeah.
and get an NX or something like that.
Yes, and that is one. There you go. There is one that makes a hybrid. So that is one to consider. How did you two meet?
Ooh, how long do you have?
It wasn't that long of a story. So Zach and I were both in broadcasting, and a new station opened up, a top 40 radio station called Z95.3.
And for Americans,
And-
I'll translate. That's Z95.
Anyway, Zach went there for the launch of the station, and I came a year later. And so we met at the radio station. Zach was a DJ. I was on the news side.
Do you
And
know
I
what-
also got into sales in broadcasting as well.
I just think about if we were doing all of that today in 2023, would that even be allowed? Like you think about, like you meet somebody at work and you start dating. Now it's like, oh, you can't ask. You know, it's just like it's way too politically correct. I wouldn't have. You know, could that happen?
Well,
I don't know.
my office was across from the lunchroom.
Oh, I remember.
And so
Blue polka dot dress.
there he is. And little did I know that there was some discussion about me and the new girl. And anyway, you know, Zach jumped on it. Not jumped, but you know what I mean. He jumped on the opportunity.
Easy there, Treya.
And then he
It
asked
wasn't
me
that politically
out.
incorrect.
He said, do you want to go out for dinner? And I was like, yeah, okay, sure. Be happy to get to know this fella.
Here we are.
And here we are, and married, and 2 kids later, and a dog named Guinness. Hey guys, love your content.
And we
Thank
work
you.
together. We live together. We do everything.
Yeah, we did
24/7.
everything. We did eventually. We stayed together. We stayed together,
just
but
do
we moved on from Z95
okay.
and went on a different path, right? Both of us, and now we're back together.
Andrea-
now we've got the YouTube channel.
Andrea worked for Pepsi. That was good times.
The thing about broadcasting, and anybody who is in broadcasting, there is no money in broadcasting. And I just got really tired of not making any money. So when Pepsi offered me a job and I went in for the interview, they asked me to come in for an interview, and I went in, and then I got the job, and I was like, what? I'm making how much? Because I was so deprived in broadcasting. Anyway, it was a great decision.
There's only so many cup of noodle you can eat.
That's it. That's it. Hey guys, love your content. Thank you. Can't seem to stop watching. Well, that's what we like.
Don't stop.
I currently drive a Lexus IS and decided to buy out my lease. I'm not entirely sure how much longer I'll keep the car. Do you think it's worth taking it to the dealership for service or take it somewhere else to save? I thought this was a really good question.
You do not have to take any vehicle back to the dealer, even
No.
when it's under warranty. You just so long as you fulfill the commitment of the maintenance book. The least read book on the planet, Andrea, is the owner's manual.
I know.
Crack the owner's manual and follow along with whatever their intervals are at a bare minimum, and that way you keep your warranty in check. If you're keeping your car, it does not have to go back to the dealer. It's not a
No.
bad idea to go back every once in a while just so they can plug it in, see if there's any what are called technical service bulletins that you might not be aware of, any kind of recall they have to mail you. But yeah, technical
you'll
service
get.
bulletins, you can get something there.
And, you know, we've done both. We've taken it to the dealership, and we've had our own mechanic who specialized in our specific vehicle. So we've done it both ways. I find that sometimes the dealership, they do charge more. So you're paying for that, and it's not always necessary. So if you have someone that you really trust and they're doing a good job with your car, I think it's fine to go elsewhere.
You've got a Lexus IS, one of the most bulletproof cars ever made. Really, all you have to do is regular maintenance on that car.
Yeah.
So open the owner's manual, follow along with the schedule, do the regular oil changes, whatever they say to do in that book, do it. You don't have to go to the dealer.
No.
They would love your business, I'm sure.
Yes.
But that car that's all it's going to need is maintenance.
In your estimation, at what point for mostly city driving does horsepower and or torque become too much? We talked about this the other day. You know, we had the BMW M2, and boy, it has so much power, and it's the same with EVs. We were talking about that with another friend the other day, that he drove an EV and it was a more powerful one, like the Mach-E GT.
No, he was driving the BMW i4 M50 with the, all that horsepower and torque.
He was like, oh my gosh, like I just couldn't believe how much power that has. And that's one thing about EVs. And I always say, you can get away with the rear wheel drive model, which has more range and less power, because you get that instant acceleration. But we were recently driving the M2.
They're loading
some guys with a ladder next to us. They're doing some work. Anyway, somebody commented on the street, and there's always people walking by. It's true. It is a walkable neighborhood, and there's always a lot of action.
Back to this.
The horsepower and torque.
The torque is really what you use. If you're driving in the city, you want a vehicle that has good torque. This is why we have a diesel. We love torque. That's what you use. You pay for horsepower. You use torque. From traffic light and stoplight to stoplight, that's what you're using. So look for a vehicle that has good torque, and you're fine.
Yes. My first time as a longtime viewer to ask a question. How about that? Love your show and was wondering if you can give your opinion on all-weather tires. I drive a new 2020 Telluride in need of new tires and winter around the corner. Would it make sense to replace the OEM tires with a set of Cross Climate 2 to save on getting a second set of wheels that are dedicated to winter, then replace my current tires again in the spring?
Okay, I don't know where you live. That's the big difference.
It doesn't say.
We mentioned it earlier. In October, we are going to have a giveaway with Toyo Tires, and they have an all-weather tire called Celsius, and they've got a new one called Celsius 2. And that is an all-weather tire. There's other brands that do all-weather tires, and this is a trend I'm hoping is going to spread through the tire industry, and we'll get rid of all season and just move to all-weather. And it gives you extra grip over what an all season. So can I just get into the technical side?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so in order for a tire to move out of all season and into all weather, which gives you better winter tire grip, they only have to pass what's called a slip test, a adhesion test, 10% higher than an all season. So you think you're getting this massive jump in extra grip? It's 10%, that's the minimum, 10% better than you would with an all-season tire. But depending on where you live, if you live somewhere where they clear the snow regularly, you're probably fine with an all-wheel drive Telluride.
So for us, we always switch out our tires. We do have winter tires, and then in the spring, we switch back to our regular tires. But our son has a Honda Civic, front-wheel drive model, and he does have all weathers. And he has noticed, a difference between tires. We had tires on last year, and we got a fair amount of snow. And he's a newer driver, and he really didn't feel like they had enough grip for him. It didn't give him a lot of confidence, put it that way. A lot of it has to do with being a new driver. We've got him something else, and he noticed right away the difference.
The Celsius 2 tires are on that car for us to test.
Yeah.
And we've been driving it as well, and we're going to do video on it, and we're going to give those tires away as a giveaway. So that's kind of fun. You can play along with that. And depending on where you live, you could go with an all-weather tire for sure. The most aggressive all-weather tire, from what I recently saw, is Nokian. The WR all-weather tire is a detuned winter tire instead of an uprated all-season tire. Does that make sense? They take a winter tire and detune it, and then the other way around for most all-weather tires. So, just wouldn't hurt. Depends on where you live.
I mean, the good thing is you are saving money, aren't you?
We've been chatting a long time.
Wow, this is going to be a long one, so make sure you watch it all, okay? Anyway, that's it. We are done with episode 27. Every Sunday, I post.
You know what they're going to remember, Andrea?
What?
Zach jumping on it.
Jack jumping on it, yeah.
Okay.
It's true. That was my mistake, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't mean like you know what I mean.
So Motormouth _Andrea, get your questions in every Sunday, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.